All right, so we are in Photoshop here. I've isolated the black channel, and I've said convert the black channel into bitmap mode from CMYK, and it gives me these options because bitmap means only black pixels or white pixels. So it's basically asking me how do I want the grays to be turned into black and white pixels. First of all, it asks me how clean do you want to make these halftone patterns that you're going to make. And I always put them at professional size, 300 pixels per inch. And then what method do you want? I'm required to teach you the halftone screen method. But there are other methods. Halftone is just the most common. And I'll show you in slides what some of the other methods are, which Photoshop can also do. So if I do halftone screen, it will separate everything into dots like bricks on a wall. And then you can say, how big do you want these dots to be? Because I'm demonstrating this, I'm using the dots at really the biggest they would ever be in professional printing, which would be for a newspaper, which doesn't have the high resolution of better papers. So I'm doing it at 20 degrees. And because it's black, I'm doing it at a 45-degree angle, because that's the truest halftone. That's the most flattering angle. So I say, okay. And then I zoom in, and what did it do with all my grays? It turns them into black and white dots. And where the gray is incredibly light, I was going to, here, I'll do Command Z and zoom in on that same spot. Where the gray is incredibly light, like really, really faint, like this little gap here between those two things, right? When I convert it, what am I doing? Let me, I thought history would allow me to do it. So I go to CMYK, I isolate the black, I say image mode bitmap. I'm going to use all my defaults. I have to discard the other channels. This will only be for black. Do it at 45 degrees, and then I'm going to zoom in on that same portion, wherever it was right in the tip of the wing. There you go. It's these tiny little dots. That gives you the faintest gray. Now the heaviest black, you'll notice, is not actually solid black on bitmap. So it's always good to have your vector line art. If you want solid black, you do that as a last run on top. That's called a full bleed. All right, so if I were to do that with, notice how there's only one channel now. If I were to do that with every channel, I would have film work for the job. So I'm going to go backwards. This is my TIFF. It's flattened, right? Just one layer. And I have it back in RGB mode. So this is our print ready file. How do I make it into color separation? I go to Window and I open up Actions, the very first option. Actions, the icon for it is a little play button. And this is when I have to ask, raise your hand if you've ever used a VCR. All right, a lot more than the last class. About half of you have used a VCR. So we're used to the play button from lots of media, right? But the play button in my childhood came from VCRs and cassette tapes, right? So I'm going to use that metaphor for what actions are. In your actions, you will see a variety of folders. Those folders are like VHS tapes on a shelf. And you have to choose which action do you want to play. The action you want to play is the one I have loaded into your computers, which is Karl Color Seps. So you click on that one and then click on the arrow to open it up. This isn't really actually picking the VHS off the shelf. This is picking the shelf from the library. When I open up the folder, now I am picking the shelf. And I'm seeing the VHS cassettes that are on that shelf. And the one I want is CMYK full run. If I wanted just the black, I would use this one. If I wanted magenta, I'd use this, yellow, this, cyan, this. This is going to give me all four and a separate file that combines them all. So I select the VHS tape for CMYK full run, and then I press play. And then I stand back, because what actions are programs within Photoshop that you write and record, just like a VHS tape, and then can play back at any time you want. Now, the way I've set it up is these are non-destructive actions. So I still have my original file here, untouched, but it generated all of these individual files that now I'm going to close out and not save, because I don't need the individual ones, though it's nice to see the film work for each layer. I need all 4 of them together. So when you see all 4 of them together, you're going to notice something. Depending on your design, this is what's called misregistration. And this happens in printing all the time. This is actually a creative decision that you can play with, whether you're doing silk screens, whether you're doing professional printing. So you'll see in your layers that now you have a layer for each one of the dot screens. And what seems to be misregistered? Well, let's turn off the black first. It's the cyan that feels, they're all a little off, to be honest. So it looks like the yellow and the black are aligned. So I have to find the ones, you see how those line up nicely? Or they're not quite, they're a little offset. So what I'm going to do is line up everything to the black. So I'm going to select the yellow layer, then I'm going to use my move tool, and then I'm going to use my arrow keys, and I'm going to line them up. But why this is part of the process is because you can play with your registration. Especially if you want a vintage look, and it looks like it's printed really fast, you're going to have little misalignments. And that's what makes it hand printing instead of like digital perfection. So now I'm going to go to the magenta, and I'm going to register that, line that up. And if you guys go on, especially you art majors, to Texas State or to UTSA or to any university that has art classes, by all that is holy, if they have a printmaking class, take the printmaking class. So you can understand how to make your own reproductions of your own creative work, whether it's digital or whether it's any other process, etching, woodblock, whatever. So each one is its own layer. So you just select the layer, and then I just use the arrow keys with the move tool to register them. Yep, this is exactly how old comic books, when they were printed on newsprint, just like newspapers, it was easy to see the dots, right? All right, now that is my poster. Now, this is what you can do. Now, none of you are required to use CMYK in your work, but you're required to know about it. And I like to use it. So then I'm going to select all 4 of those, put them into a group. I don't need the white, right? And then I'm going to move this tab out so it's floating on top of my original TIFF, print ready TIFF. Then I'm going to take the group and dump it onto my original print ready TIFF. And because TIFFs can support multiple layers, I have auto select turned on, I can move all those dots. But because my TIFF is at 350 pixels per inch, I do this intentionally, and my output for the halftones is at 300, because that's the professional standard, I need to grow them to fit them on. Because now I'm using it as a digital effect, right? So I hit Command T, and then I stretch it until it registers with my original design. I have to hand register it, right? I hit return, and now you have a mess. You have your original design with all these dots over the top of it. So how can this be beneficial? What I like to do is then take a layer style and I change it to, you can use it in lots of different ways for different effects, but I change it to soft light. And what soft light does is it allows the black to come through. It doesn't muddy your pure white, but all the midtones, it's going to let those dots help to mix the color. And I can see how it really kind of animates all of those digital flat colors. And you can also just play with the opacity of it. Maybe I don't want it at full opacity. Maybe I just want it really subtle. And that is CMYK halftone color separation. What would it print without my digital image behind it? It would print like this. Like a really faint newspaper, because it's only at, 60%. And you can see I didn't actually line it up all that well, but it doesn't actually matter, right? And that might give it a little bit more life. You can even see that at the edges. Yeah, it looks like this whole thing could be shifted over and up a little. All right, so now I'm actually going to save my TIFF with those layers. So I just hit Command S. Still as an LZW, it will ask me, do I really want to save with extra layers? And in this case, yes, because that gives me more printing options. And now this is fully ready. And if I want to make little adjustments, I can. So I'm going to take all of these, shift them down, there we go. Line them up. And it will kind of snap in once you get it. But it looks like I need to just grow it a tiny bit more. There we go. And this is why I use the arrow keys for it, because these are very slight adjustments when you're trying to get it to line up perfectly. Yeah. All right. So now, Command S. Oh, I want to apply that. I've got my poster. Now that I've kind of optimized my poster, right? How can I make real world products of it? How can I have it printed from a 4-color offset lithography screen? I am going to use a site that's under our links page, which is redbubble.com. This is for extra credit. It's an option you have. And it's under the links page, but you can just go to redbubble.com. And for extra credit, you're going to create your own account. It's free, and the reason we use Redbubble in the class, it's a very long-lasting company. It's based in the United States and Australia. It's a print-on-demand company, but what's nice about it is that you can make all your work private just to you. But you can also make it public and sell it. So I am going to do the sell your art option, right? After creating one. And then I am going to add a new piece, add a new work. Now, unfortunately, a TIFF is not what they accept. They accept JPEGs or PNGs, right? Online. So if this is the poster I want, I need to save it, File, Save a Copy as a JPEG. And instead of PR in front, I'm going to put RB in front for Redbubble. And then we mark our TIFFs gray. So let me find all these. So my TIFF is here. I'm going to mark that gray for archive format. And then the Redbubble, I mark red for red. For Redbubble. Okay, now, yes, I save it at the maximum level. Because it's a JPEG, we might have had to take the quality level down a lot to get it onto Canvas, to get it under 5 megabytes. But for Redbubble, we want it as big as possible. We want the highest quality image. It would be great if they accepted TIFFs. Most clients will accept TIFFs, right? Printers will definitely accept TIFFs, but they just want to ease their network. So now I drag that Redbubble image of my poster where it says upload new work. Did I drag the wrong run? Maybe so. Let's see. I have a few too many. Let's make sure this is the one with the halftone dots. And we're getting into big files now. We're really working our computer. You don't need to keep the CMYK file anymore.